of a slow one in the NHL tonight. I just watched Washington dust Philly 5-2. Ovi with the face-off goal, which was nice. So I thought I'd loop back and talk about something which has been the point of much discussion, and that is Vegas and potential LTIR shenanigans once again. Now, stop me if this is a story you've heard before. Darren Dreger has reported that Mark Stone will be out for the rest of the NHL regular season and is questionable for the Stanley Cup playoffs. He went on to say you can be certain that GM Kelly McCrimmon will utilize his cap space. What he's referring to, for those who aren't aware, is the LTIR rule. Now, some of you are going to roll your eyes, but I'll explain how this works for new fans or fans who didn't bother to learn the cap details. Put simply, and there is always nuance here, when a player goes on long-term injured reserve, LTIR, meaning that they're going to miss at least 10 games, a team is given a salary cap allowance, which allows them to spend more than the cap would allow. Now, there are more details to this. There are LTIR pools, rules about how much cap can be used. However, a player cannot return to play if it would put their team over the salary cap. Now, the little fun detail here is that the NHL salary cap does not exist in the postseason, so players can come off LTIR. The potential star which was signed out of their extra cap space can remain on the team, and they can play now too. There are rules around this. Players are supposed to be checked out by league doctors, but there's definitely the overwhelming feeling that certain teams abuse this. Last year, for example, Stone was put on LTIR, and the Golden Knights picked up Ivan Barbashev and others who obviously remained on the roster when Stone returned in the playoffs. Other teams have been accused of this. Nikita Kucherov with the Lightning, Patrick Kane back in 2015 with the Chicago Blackhawks. But put simply, Vegas now has the potential to sign a big name. The thing is, this injury is most certainly not being faked. Mark Stone has a lacerated spleen. He's not complaining about cramps in his leg. If it were Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, could he play through it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about lacerated spleens, but there's definitely the potential that Vegas wins and they're massively over the regular season salary cap. And the question that I see a lot is, well, why don't they change the rules? Why don't they make it so the team you dress in the playoffs has to be below the salary cap? Well, the salary cap doesn't really work like that. I'm going to give you an extremely simple example so the math makes sense. Let's pretend the NHL had a 10-day season with $100 salary cap. How it works is if you were under that day's salary cap, which in our fictional scenario would be $10, you carry over any extra you have as the season progresses. So a team which is under the cap can spend that accrued cap space at the trade deadline to sign a big player. Now, obviously, there are risks to this. If you're under the cap, well, are you going to be winning games, putting yourself in a playoff position? There are other considerations too, like an LTIR contract doesn't provide accruable cap space and it can actually be worse for accruing cap, but that's some capology that we're not getting into in today's video. Anyway, looking at Cap Friendly, it looks like Vegas will have about $6 million to use at trade deadline day, and Jake Gensel is a $6 million man. But here's some homework for you if you want to leave a comment. Take a look at TSN's trade bait board and let me know who you think the Golden Knights should tackle and whether you think Mark Stone, if you're a doctor, will make a return for the playoffs. Right now, as I mentioned, he's listed as questionable. The dude is an absolute warrior. If he can play, he'll play.